All right, so we are officially now recording. This is the second ConsulLab daily webinar on distributed learning. So again, I've stated that we're recording. This will be published to our YouTube page once it is over, so you could share that with any of your colleagues and friends that may not have had a chance to attend. I'm going to go ahead and mute all of the participants because from this point onwards, we'll have the host and collaborators doing most of the talking. Please, from now on, submit your comments and questions through the comment, the messaging on the side there. You can click the little button for messages down at the bottom, and we have the messages there. We'll watch those, and then I'll intervene as necessary with Rick. So the session today is, again, distributed learning, how to build a lesson plan to teach remotely. So we're very fortunate to have many experts here on the line. We've got, of course, Rick Martineau from ConsulLab, who has a lot of experience in developing and delivering online certain types of content in automotive. So he's done that in the past in his previous role at SAIT in Alberta. We've also got on the line from ConsulLab, we have Jeff Curtis and Tim Dwyer, who will also be contributing. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this over to Rick, and we're going to show you, again, today the goal is we're going to show you guys how can you build a lesson to teach remotely. We're going to go through the motions, we're going to walk you through that and show you some of the best practices on how to do so. So Rick, I'll hand it over to you. Don't forget to unmute.
I already did that.
You're on top of it. Perfect.
Yeah, so we're pretty much in the same mode as everybody else, is scramble mode, trying to figure out what we're going to do every day. And it really comes down to things that we learned, as former technicians or whatever, is what do we do first? Let's get back to the basics. And I know you've probably all been through some kind of training on how to do your lessons or what to do with a lesson. So really, that's where we decided to go today, is let's start with some structure first and then figure out the content as you go. If you start thinking about delivering your whole curriculum over the next couple months, it can be quite overwhelming. So if you look at it, each one as an individual lesson, then sometimes that might not be such a daunting task. So one of the things that, we did today, make sure I open the right file here, is created a lesson plan. So just simply, this is one that I've used over the years, but a simple lesson plan is, what are you going to do? So our lesson title today is Structuring a Lesson for Distributed Learning. The bridge-in, again, is, why is this important? Really, what's in it for me is what you're trying to convey to the audience. So really, due to the circumstances beyond our control, we're in this situation and we have to continue our instruction. So what are we going to do with that? We got to come up with ideas. What works, what doesn't work. Next thing is, really, there's the learning objective, is creating elements of a distance delivery class so students still continue to develop their skills for the time when they are back in your room and start getting their hands on things again. There's still a lot that can be learned. A pre-assessment is really, what things have you done previously? What have you used that's been successful? And those things we can put in the comments so that everybody can see those later. Really, what works, what, I wouldn't say things that don't work so much, but there are things that'll give you more success. So really, and then we get into our participatory learning portion of it. And, this is where I'm going to call on my colleagues. As I said, we've been in scramble mode ourselves. So last night, Jeff created a sample of things that can be used, just a technique more than the actual lesson, but here's a technique. So I'm going to hand over to Jeff here.
So this is something that we've developed since yesterday with Rick, with Jeff, and everyone. we've been able to rapidly put together our plan and have it ready to give this class to you guys today with what Rick and Jeff have put together. So just wanted to share how fast that's come together.
Yes, and even yet this morning, I've shared my screen. So I used a base for my creation as the NATEP task list. When I feel like I'm lost and I don't know where to go, I go to the NATEP for the AFC Foundation task list. I find it grounding. I don't, none of us agrees with everything that goes on there, but tire pressures, that's fairly important stuff, right? So what I've done here is I've gone in and I've identified what I'm targeting. And so I highlighted, we know these things to be very important, right? Tire air pressures. But how do we get our students to do this? Now, I kind of chose this because it's possible that there's a car sitting in the yard somewhere where there's a student. And probably you have a car as well, and you could use your own vehicle to set this up. So these are my guides. So 1, 5, 7, and 8. I'm not going to probably go into the calibration of the system in a very early stage, but I want my students to check tire air pressures. So what I've done below, and as I scroll down, you'll see screenshots of videos that I've done. We don't particularly like to show long videos when we present stuff, but the links for those videos will be up. And each one of these videos is less than a minute. So chunking your content up in the smaller pieces is really important. So, and it's not about me. These are also, I'm going to have Rick put my storyboard up here when I get done. These are one-shot wonders. I call them one-shot wonders. I go out, I shoot the video, it's good enough, I'm going to post it. It's like the video that maybe got you involved here. That was a one-shot wonder. I kind of wrote it down, delivered the video. There's some mistakes. It's okay. It's good enough. We're moving on. We haven't got time to go in and be fancy in our video editing. So one video, I didn't even have my company shirt on, right? So then I went back out and got my shirt and got my sunglasses because it was a really nice day yesterday. But then we get into the meat of it. Here's a screen capture of less than 30 seconds. So I want the students to go to the owner's manual and find out what the tire pressure is supposed to be or how you're supposed to adjust it. Go to the owner's manual. I mean, it's our first stop. Especially for me, that's all I got for the vehicle, right? So I'm going to go to the owner's manual. What's it tell you to do? It tells you to go to the door jamb. So the door jamb, there's another 30-second video that I did. And I didn't take out my tire gauge and do that demonstration either. But I had the next best thing, and that was the dash display of the tire pressure monitors. And look at this. Does anybody see anything maybe amiss here? I mean, 2 PSI is not huge, but the condition that the 2 PSI exhibited itself in was that left front tire was in the sun, the other 2 were in the shade. So here we have a teaching moment that I didn't identify up front, but I'm sure going to use that as a discussion point, talking about the effects of heat on gases, boils, any gas laws that you can talk about can be described here.
What's so great about that, Jeff, is that you're able to really capture and rapidly show to the students, even remotely, something that normally would happen in class. Yep. Don't be afraid when you're developing these remote classes, following this basic lesson plan and developing stuff on the fly. Don't be afraid to do the same things you would do in the class. We just have to find another way to share it out to the students, because yes. I know that all of you, if you were doing something like that in the class and you saw, oh, there's a difference here. Well, You ask your students, well, why? What happened? What? You can still do that remotely. Just need to do it in a different way, as Jeff has done here.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask Rick, were you able to get that PDF of my storyboard template and share that? Otherwise, I can grab it.
I got it.
Got it. So I will unshare my screen. There you go. So just to outline to you how quick and easy this is to do. Some of this stuff, yeah, there's a timestamp up there. March 19th, that's today at 10:35 a.m. Well, I'm Pacific time, and this is just in time, right? I just built this, recorded it, delivered it. We're done. Well, we're not done. We still have to assess the lesson, but we've done what we're trying to do is show how simply it can be done. Now, let me take a moment for just a little bit of live of what I might do and things I might take a picture of besides my finger is to go and turn my camera around and show you how I might look at something. Now, I don't have any car parts. I just cleaned my desk off, and on a moment's notice, I thought, what the heck can I bring up? And here's a camera lens sitting here. So it's not automotive, but imagine this is a tire pressure monitor, if you will, and you want to show your students about it. Well, it's very easy for you to get in pretty close with your camera and take some really close shots to show the students what it is and what's inside, or what they have to do to replace the tire pressure monitor or any other thing that you can think of. So having the camera is, and you're carrying, most of you, all of you are carrying one of these, as I keep making my point, carrying one of these around in your pocket. How can you use that? How should you be using it? So this is just one example. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Tim.
I should be prepared, right?
Hmm.
You know, it's interesting to sit here and watch this, because I could see how this tool is almost like being in a classroom. I mean, I'm counting 56 plus people sitting here watching this in a I don't know how big your all's classrooms or classes are. I mean, it seemed like when I was teaching, I had probably 15 to 20. So if you had 20 people on a conference call like this, and you just push through it like Jeff did with really, some script, but no, it didn't have to be perfect. It just had to engage. And we had the option of the students talking back and forth. I mean, this is basically like your classroom. Of course, it isn't hands-on. We went through that yesterday, that we're not going to be able to do hands-on. We've been handcuffed, and that's not going to happen. So we have to be able to do as much with what we have to work with. And to me, this is engaged. The only difference I would like is to see everybody, to see more people's faces, because if it was my students, I want to make sure that they're engaged and they're not, walked away from the camera or whatever. But so I don't know what I was planning on doing, and I don't know if you need to pin me, Rick or Jeff or somebody.
Yeah, do that.
Because I'm just going to show you a real quick setup of what I've done here. And so I'm going to kind of take a video of how I would take a video, if that makes sense.
So what we're going to have, so Rick, if you want to pin Tim, share your screen. There we go. Beautiful. We're all on the same page. We're all going to be watching Tim here, and we're going to have him do live what we suggest that you guys could do for your very first lesson for teaching remotely.
So when we're finished here, I've got some resources I want to show you too, and we're gonna share all this up on our website. But my goal here is, I always like doing reverse engineering, so to speak. I'm gonna grab the camera that I'm looking at now, because I'm gonna use my phone as an illustration. I've got a setup here, and of course, I happen to have access to an electrical trainer, and that's the lesson I chose today. But you guys have what you have, so to speak. I've set a tripod up over it. Do I care that it's down in the middle of it? No, probably not. I want to show you something here. Let's see if I can do this. I took a picture of what you're seeing when I put the camera in that tripod. And so I've kind of made sure that everything I want is in that picture. Now, this is a terrible shot for you because it's a video of my computer screen. But once I'm happy with the activity that I'm going to be illustrating all covered in the frame of the camera, then I would start videotaping. And let's say the reverse engineering part, I want to teach voltage drop. I want to talk about two types of voltage drops, ground reference and lift in the lead. So I'm showing you a video of me doing it. The aerial view from this tripod would be a whole lot better view. But my point is that with the students engaged, I would actually have this circuit. They would be able to see a whole lot more because of my phone view. But I would go through and illustrate what I'm talking about. I'm going to actually have ground reference, turn the circuit on, and test before, after the load. We're going to talk about it. Then I'm going to say there's another way to do voltage drop, and it's actually over the load. And I'm going to illustrate that. Like there's some latency there. And then I might even have them, take an ohm meter, and actually go through and ohm the bulb. And we all know where that's going to go as far as the resistance readings.
Tim, I'm going to interrupt you. We have a couple comments and questions. And I know you've already mentioned this, and you're probably going to be going there in the direction you're taking. But how do we engage the students with this? Because without the engagement of the students, it's going to be easy for them to be, mute their microphone, be off searching on YouTube or watching or playing a game or whatever. So what have you done? What can you do to engage the students?
So if I was doing this in front of the students, I wouldn't be doing the talking. I would actually have them probably say, how do I check voltage drop over that bulb? And I would let them tell me. I'd be their hands. And I would like to hear a group discussion of, you put your black lead here, and they need to be specific enough to talk me through it. It's probably harder to do than actually doing it themselves. But they have to actually explain what they want me to do, and I will do it. Show them the reading, and then let them discuss the interpretation. I'm not going to necessarily be doing it by hand. Now, I want to record this whole thing too, because I'm going to show you later. I would probably I want to come back and see if they really got it. There's got to be a way to assess them, and I want to show you a kind of a tool or a trick that we can do for that too. But so I'm going to make a video with my students involved, kind of like you guys are with me today. If we were to unmute you and I let you talk,
see the meter.
Well, okay. I mean, I understand that too. I'm just saying that from this view up here, if I put my phone into this tripod and turn it on, you're going to see everything that you need to see. You're going to see a view pretty much like that picture I showed you. And that's what they're going to be watching while I'm talking. I'm just showing you, I'm having to take a video of me making a video, so I'm doing it that way. So the students would be watching all this, and they'd be telling me what to do. I'd be their hands. And I know it's not hands-on, but it's my hands-on, and they're telling me what to do. So I'm not going to teach them or actually tell them how to do a voltage drop. I want them to tell me, and then I'll do it. Now, once we get through this is being recorded, and eventually you could put it up onto your own school's website or whatever. But what I wanted to do is, and I need to steal the screen here for a second.
What's so great is seeing how we can engage. Again, it's not perfect, but we're able to engage the students and exactly, and it just like Dustin has just mentioned, we can engage the students. We can be their hands. We can have them look and watch this live, and like one of the attendees just mentioned, we could even, and I know Tim might already be doing this, purposefully make a mistake, wire it up backwards, and go try and let the smoke out, and have the students go, well, that's what you told me to do, or you slipped up. Yeah. You guys said, well, test it this way. Do you give them the bad results? You can almost walk through these various, case studies, if you will. You can prepare and have kind of the ideas in your mind, like Tim has. He's got all these plans in his mind. He could walk us through. All right, well, what if I did this? Well, what if, and then have the students guide you through and let them fail.
So you see my screen right now. You're seeing basically what my hope would be of what the students would be watching the whole time. They'd see my hands come in and out, but that would be pretty much all. They would talk me through it, and we would be recording it so that they can go back and look at it later too. Okay, everybody good with that? Now I'm going to jump real quick to. We're going to put this up on the website. These are some resources, and these are just real simple. I could have put a list of 50 of them up here, but I don't want to. I think we need to just focus on some stuff that works and move on. Okay. Mm-hmm. But this is, I've got broken down into recording and editing resources. I've got some definitions just because I don't want to assume everybody knows what all these words mean because you haven't been doing online training. And so I want to make sure we're all on the same page. What's synchronous, what's asynchronous, et cetera, et cetera. I've got some e-learning resources like Electude, and we're going to go into that hopefully more next week. And then I've got some YouTube resources. Scanner Danner just opened up his stuff today. Mm-hmm. This Play Pose It is where I'm going to go next. And what I want you to do is when you get this document, go to our website. We're going to put it on the resource page. Go down to this bottom here and click on that example down there. This particular app is free, and you can take that video that I just made and put it into this app and make a quiz out of it. So I've got, I don't want to go into this because it's probably eating up our time here. Can you guys hear that?
Yep. Well, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Long story short is you create these, they're called bulbs. And now this particular video can be pushed out to your students. And you actually, okay, I made this video with you guys watching, with my students interacting. At the end of the day, I take that video, I drop it into this app. I actually run through it. And at certain points in the video, I stop and I insert questions. And then I move on. Then the finished version, I post out to the students, and they go back to the same video that they helped create. And it gets to a point where there was going to be an answer, a question or whatever, and the video stops and a little bulb comes up, a thought bulb, and it asks them questions. And they have to answer them correctly to proceed on. So now you've got a tool where we've created a video, they've watched the video, they hopefully learned something. You push out a video quiz to them, and you can see if they got it, I guess, if that makes sense. You guys okay with that? So we're going to put this up. I know learning new apps under the gun is terrible. And I mean, it's very stressful, and you're like, I don't want to learn that. I want to do something different. I'm telling you, as a group, if we were to start producing these and sharing them, the workload would be even better. So,
well,
just a
thought. And one of the points that came up in the discussions that we had amongst our educational team is that in times like these, you want to fall back on. You're going to want to fall back on what you know best, what works for you. And trying out new things and everything is difficult, especially when you're now doing it at distance. Your students are going to be doing this for their first time. So you've got to try to stay within the realm of what you already have mastered in your expertise. There's another point that came up in the discussions yesterday was look at the tools that are available that you maybe when you're at school, teaching out of the classroom, your school might already have different tools for their learning management system. Again, a lot of you have Electude, a lot of you can get Electude. Of course, ConstLab, we're partnered with Electude. We've got products in there, we've got courseware in there, and they've opened that up free for the foreseeable future until the end of the term. And if you have that, now is the time, and this will be a topic for a future seminar as well, a future discussion here, will be how to integrate that and how to get the most out of it. But I kind of wanted to bring this back to Rick because we're going to take all of these resources, Tim's document, this video, yesterday's video, all of this and post it up on our website. But I want to kind of loop back to Rick and look at that, the lesson plan basics. And I know we've already mentioned in the comments, Rick, we're going to want to post that up, as well as even as simple as it is, having the notes of the storyboard that Jeff has produced. We're going to put those up all on our website for you guys to reference, because just being able to pull that out of your pocket and go, oh yeah, you can go back, watch this on YouTube. What was that? How did they do that? In what order did they do this? So if we look, what we tried to do today is follow really Rick's plan here on how we would do that. So if we want to walk through that, and see how far did we get and what are we missing to do next.
Yeah. So, like I said, we started right at the title. We went through our bridging. We created an objective. Objectives are always, your audience, behavior, condition, degree of, who, what, where, and why. The pre-assessment is what do they already know. So you may have some kind of a little quiz or something that you want to lead into with that. We had a plan. We hashed this out this morning. Who was going to do what? There's one little piece left to come to. Was just simply, I mentioned yesterday, case studies. Case studies are where you give them it's almost like a test question you might develop, but a scenario, things that are going on with an engine. And you could go and even capture data. And that was one of the things that I wanted to share really quickly, is this. So this is just simply a screen capture I did with a scan tool hooked up to my laptop.
Rick, we're going to wait for a second for your screen to come up. We don't have it in front of everyone. So examples of case studies, while he's getting that set up, many of us can think of examples of a case that it could be as simple. And I mean, let's say that you're stuck with very little resources, little tools. Your case study could be, you say to your students, you get, okay, they're all on the line. You have no cars, no scan tool, no multimeter, you got nothing. But you can say, guys, what would we do on your car if you had a P0204 injector problem? And hypothesize. Write down in your mind where you think the problem is or what you're trying to present to your students, and then have the students go through. You could walk them through those steps even without having the car in front of you. You can still walk through and have it have the participation of your students. Ask them to guide you. Well, where would I go? I got my scan tool, I got that code. And then they say, well, maybe we'll go to all data, maybe we'll go to Protomet, we'll pull the diagnostic trouble tree and start going through and ask, well, what would you use for this test? And then hypothesize the results are this. Have the students ask you and guide you through it. So some of the examples, I'll let Rick take back over here.
Is that showing up now?
Yes.
Okay. So again, it was just simply a screen capture. I don't know if it'll play in this, but yeah, there it's switching. It's switching very slowly because of the connection, obviously, but it's just something you could go and get data like that you wanted to use, and then you share that with the class. And again, they have to come back and do some outcomes, give their hypothesis of what's going on.
So Rick, you were able to capture that data from a scan tool showing an oxygen sensors, flipping back from rich to lean, and then show a scenario and hypothesize.
Yeah. So just things you'd probably have them do in a classroom hooked up to a car anyways. You'd say, go monitor the scan tool or go monitor the oxygen sensors and see if you can figure out what's going on with that car. They're not going to be able to get to do other things, but at least they can start developing some thought process about it. So as we get into the end of it, post-assessment, right now, our post-assessment, do you have some necessary tools that you can create these items on your own? Do you have a cell phone camera? Do you have software that you can use? And really, when we get into the summary or the closure of this whole thing, is that if you create one lesson at a time, you'll find the task less overwhelming. Perfection is not expected or required.
I found that students are pretty forgiving of trying new things. If you're explaining up front that that's what's happening, this is all new things. They know that too. So they're not going to be picking you apart, and they may guide you more than you really thought they would. So don't act. We were sitting here today thinking it's all on us, but it's not. It's kind of on you guys. You tell us what you need. We want to help. Let your students help you. I mean, they've got a timeline here to finish this thing up too, and they know what they want to get done. So.
We have a comment and suggestion from another one of our colleagues who I forgot to mention at the beginning, from Dick Krieger, is going, we have technical technological limitations. There's going to be some students that don't have a great computer, don't have a great phone. They're going to have trouble connecting, but at the same time, we can use that to our advantage. There's going to be many students out there that have a little OBD2 scanner or a little OBD2 dongle that they can plug into their phone. And you'd be surprised how rapidly, if you asked your class of students, hey guys, who's got a scanner at home? Oh, great. Well, why don't you plug it in and show us, go out to your car. And if they're participating by their phone and they're able to share that, they could even, screen share from their phone, their scan tool results, and really be doing and sharing the hands-on amongst the students, guided by you. And I think the one major point, because we're just at the end here, and the one major point in summary that we try to demonstrate today is we went through very rapidly how to build the lesson plan to teach remotely. And we just did it. We just showed you guys how to do that. And the biggest key point here is having that little basic plan. That basic plan, that basic outline, just a little bit of pre-work and thinking about it allows us to come together and do that very rapidly. And yes, like Jeff and Rick and others have mentioned, we're going to fail. That's okay. It's not going to be perfect. As one of the commenters has said, we have to almost step up and become the student for the class. We have to be able to step into the student's shoes like Tim has done and say, okay, well, here's my hands, and you're going to have students that are trying to do this or asking you questions, and they will take you down the wrong path, and you might let the smoke out. And it's going to, all along this way, if we're able to capture it, and we suggest, like we've done today, we've got this recorded, so we're able to save it and in the future refer back to it. So that was our goal today, is to share that with you, and it looks like a lot of you've got something out of it, I hope.